bro. He rips off this tiny little piece of the paper. And I'm like, what is that? I'm talking about like you could barely even see the shit. It was like a little tiny piece of paper. And I'm like, we're gonna need more than that. I have a high tolerance to shit. And he's like, nah. Trust me, bro.
And if I get bit by snakes like bed bugs, they die immediately.
Like nobody else, bro. Especially not black dudes or Spanish dudes. He's a white dude, and this is our shit, bro. And I was the first person to stick up for him and the first person to get that shit, bro. I was getting 2 pages a week, every single week, like clockwork, bro, right? It's a guaranteed escape, guaranteed money in your pocket. And
last week, a search warrant in Durham County hinted at a cross-country scheme between mother and son, who investigators say smuggled drugs into federal prisons by soaking paperwork in synthetic marijuana. That's a strategy prison officials around the country have sounded the alarm on.
welcome back to the W Number, guys. I got a crazy and epic story for you today. This is a story about my K2 journey, but it's not really just about my K2 journey. This is all those experiences, selling it, doing it, seeing it happen, the craziness that it produces when you're on it, just everything to do with the K2, but it starts from the beginning of like when I first got introduced to K2, what it did to me, that story from that time forward. And then it's my bid from that point forward. A lot of the mother stories kind of link in with it, but you don't know all the in between. And I'm not going to get into the details of those stories, but I'm definitely going to go over because you're going to see how some of these things link up and shit, right? Over my bid. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, and definitely share this video, comment. Everything can help this channel grow and helps support this channel. So please do so. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Seriously. The beginning of this story starts when I was in the box, right? I was up there. Me and my boy Jacob were selling. I had just got into that beef with Diamond. I booted him in the face. I was going to get a DDU bid. They had read me my rights. So I was getting charged, basically. That's what I thought, you know what I mean? But they were sending me to DDU, they were doing all that shit. So I'm up there. My foot is swollen like this, dude. I got a split in the middle of my toe because I booted him in the face so hard that it split in between my toes. Like, no bullshit. It ripped my toes apart. So I'm up there. I could barely even stand on my foot. Like, my foot is blown up. They won't give me medical care. I'm telling the guys, the superintendent, everybody who walks by my door, like, yo, look at my foot, dude. This is crazy. My foot hurts. Like, I need, and it is your right that once you know and you see just what's going on with my foot, that you have to take care of it. And you know what's crazy is that the superintendent actually went and said something to medical and got me put on Tylenol 3s for like the next year. And that's what ended up leading to me getting surgery on my foot. That was like the third injury. That was the last injury before I had the surgery on my foot and ended up in that crazy medical lawsuit that I made a video about already and I was in WGBH about. But yeah, that story is linked into this too. So
I know she was negligent. I know she committed malpractice. I know it. She did a surgery she had no right to do, which resulted in altering my entire life.
I'm up there in the box and my boy Jerry's down the tier and we were up there for fighting and shit. So we're all up there. Everybody's waiting to go to DDU on that tier. That whole tier, literally everybody's waiting to go to DDU. We had a mixture of guys, but one night some shit comes through. Now, back then, the K2 used to come through the mail with ease. Nobody knew about this shit. It was only one dude doing it, and I can actually talk about it because he is gone. He actually died. He got shot out here in Boston. He got killed. His name is Luigi. He was a good dude, bro, but he had the max bumping. He was like the first dude, the originator of Deuce in the max. And I'm honored to be able to shout out his name in a way that, he definitely looked out for guys up there. He had that shit popping. He was the first person to figure it out. Like, literally up there, he was the first person to figure it out. I don't know if he found it out from another state or something, but when this shit first started coming through, man, it was strong. I'm going to tell you the experience I had my first time doing this, right? So we're on the tier. The lines start coming down the tier. My boy says, yo, I got some shit for you, Matty, bro. He had just got his property. And it came up in his property or something. And bro sends me down a couple of stamps of deuce. Now, I mean, stamps right now, we used to sell it at the size of a postage stamp was $10. So a piece of paper the size of a postage stamp. What K2 basically is a mixture of chemicals constantly changing, constantly morphing. They always change the chemical. They're changing the makeup of the chemical by little pieces just to make it very hard to detect. Right? And it's definitely a shame that this is what we have to, use while we're in there to kind of escape our reality, because there's some things that could probably be very harmful in the long run on that paper. So I'm just saying, right? This is coming through. This is what we have, man. And this is powerful stuff, bro. I get the stamp and I'll look at it and I tell Jacob, I'm like, what is this? And he's like, don't worry, bro. This is going to get us fucked up, bro. He rips off this tiny little piece of the paper. And I'm like, what is that? I'm talking about like you could barely even see the shit. It was like a little tiny piece of paper. And I'm like, we're going to need more than that. I have a high tolerance to shit. And he's like, nah. Trust me, bro. We roll it up in a little stick with some tea. And matter of fact, we was in the box, so we were using pepper. This shit sucks, smoking pepper, bro. Trust me, this shit burns. But people talk about it like it's menthol. This shit is not like menthol. Trust me. And if it gets in your eye, God bless you. That shit hurts. But fucking, we roll it up in a pepper joint, right? And we get to smoking this shit, dude. I'm telling you, when this shit, it hits you right away. There's not like weed where it slowly creeps up on you. This shit hits you like a Mack truck immediately. I almost had to, I thought I was going to stop smoking it because I'm like, whoa, if it's already this strong, then it's going to kick in and be super strong. I almost didn't know if I would finish it or not, but we smoked it. And I'm sitting there like, I looked at Jacob, and my first reaction is I looked at him and I said, yo, bro, this shit is crazy. He's like, yeah, I told you, bro. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I put my headphones on and I laid in my bed and I was listening to music. And I promise you, on everything I love, I could see the music when I closed my eyes. The music, bro, it was like these waves of music. Like it was crazy. Like, and as the bass would come and the beats would come, like I could see these different shapes and colors and shit like moving around my eyes, bro. And they call that something, right? But I'd never seen that before. And it was so cool, bro. And I was like, wow, this stuff is awesome. I never felt anything as powerful as that before. But the next time I see it isn't for a little while, right? I'd gone that experience, thought it was cool.
What does spice do for you?
Like marijuana extra strength.
I get it sent to DDU. When I was up there, there was no deuce like that. There's only like one or two guys doing that shit, and it was the same person doing it for him, right? So there was not shit like that. So when I got over there was a few stamps, but I grabbed them and I sold them. But I was more into like making money and like, getting other shit at the time. I was trading for other things and just trying to make, get by. And that wasn't my thing. I liked opiates, you know what I mean? Suboxone or pills, methadone, morphine, whatever I could get on that line, heroin, if I could get that, whatever it was, bro. My first bid, that was a lot more prevalent. The heroin was everywhere. It was just heroin. But then my second bid, when the synthetic drugs came through, so these things are paper thin drugs, both of them, Suboxone and K2. One is literally paper and the other one is paper thin. You could get massive amounts of this shit because it's so small and so thin, bro. But it's like they limit your options. They don't give you medication. They don't treat your mental illness, and they give you nothing to do. So what do you expect out of people? Like you're never going to stop it. Never. Where there's will is a way, right? So when I get out of DDU, this is interesting. Trust me, right? So when I get out of DDU, I hit J1. Now J1 is this place. It's called the RTU. It's a residential treatment program. They use it as a step down for me because I did time in the SCP for my DDU bid. So I just did 2 years up there, and they're moving me down into I did 1 year that time. I did 1 year, and they moved me down into the SDP for a step down. And I didn't like that, bro. I was like, dude, it's a mental health block. You got other people with mental illnesses there, but worse than that, you got guys down there that have mental illnesses, but they're also some fucked up individuals. And I kept on telling these people, I said, I want out of this fucking block. There's solid dudes in there. You know what I mean? It's just they don't fuck, like they understand, like that's something they deal with, that because it's that mental health shit. Like you end up having these suspect motherfuckers. Like I was down there for like a month, right? All of a sudden, dude, we hear the freeze up, serious freeze up. They locked the whole camp down. And I had just gotten some shit off the rec deck. I was straight. I had some Sobo, I had some other shit, and I was locked in. And I remember like it was yesterday because I had not had something for like a day. I just got like something and I'd spilled it on the TV. And I was like, shit, I was, sniffing it off the top of the TV. Like it's water. So, you got to chase the water. But anyways, they start locking the doors when I'm in there, like doing that. Right. Boom. I had another person in my cell that had got some shit with me and they were doing their thing too. So they had ran to the door and they just had their hand on the door, like what's going on. And then, they're like, close the doors. Cause, usually when there's a freeze up, they'll only lock the block that it happens on, unless it's like a serious, they have to do a secondary. So a secondary call is when they call the secondary cops, right? So the first call is the primary responders to whatever emergency is going on in the facility. They'll send those primary responders. The second responders that's when they lock the prison down, because they send the rovers and the extra cops from other blocks into the emergency, right? So they don't have enough staff or whatever, but they lock the place down. So they get a second response call. Boom, they're locking this shit down. And we don't know what's happened yet, but the cops are kind of acting weird. So we know it's something serious, right? That night, there was a CO. He's from that city, Worcester. He was a good dude, actually. I mean, I as far as COs go, man, and seriously, this dude was all right? So this dude, he's doing his round, bro. He stops at my door and he's like, yo, dude, he's like, one of your boys just, did some crazy shit over there. And I'm like, what happened? He's like, it'll be on the news. He didn't want to talk about it. He wouldn't even tell me, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? Right? Usually he'll just tell you, like, it's no big deal. But sure enough, first thing the next day, boom, all over the news, William Size murdered and N1, blah, blah, blah. We had already heard whispers of it, but they really kept that shit like locked into that block for that time. Like, cause they locked the whole camp down pretty much immediately. So kites didn't get sent out. Like they didn't have anything going on. Like we didn't really even know what happened. And so when it came on the news, I was like, oh shit, bro. Like it happened, bro. Like that shit's crazy. And unfortunately, that's what led to Chad Connors getting that life sentence for pulling the curtain shut during a fight, what he thought was a fight, allegedly. Like I'm not saying it was definitely him, but that's what they said he did, dude. So this is what happened all during this time, dude, right? A little time, we come off that lockdown for that murder. So there was this kid, he had mental illnesses, but he was a good kid. He's a white dude. He had Tourette's syndrome, right? So he would say crazy ass shit. Like he would start saying racial slurs, whatever came to his mind at the time. And I used to tell him like, yo, bro, you can't do that shit. This is the max. I had been with him in a different place in Bridgewater before, and I knew he was mentally ill. So like, I'm like, other people don't know that. And it still is a maximum security facility. There's maximum security convicts, right? They will still fucking hurt you. This dude's yelling it. He gets on suicide watch one day. He's yelling it out the door at these kids, and one of them is Spanish. He's calling them the S word and things. Bro, as soon as he comes off, we're locking in one night, and I just made a mix. I had cooked with this kid that I really liked. He was a good kid, but he was just a little slow, and I looked out for him, you know what I mean? Because he was just slow. So I made a meal with him. I was in my cell. I didn't even get to take a bite of my mix yet. And I was talking to this dude from Fall River. Boom, I hear feet squeaking on the tier. And I turn around and I go out on the tier. I'm like, oh shit, these dudes were jumping him. The parking lot pimping kid and some Crip kid, bro, right? His nickname was J Hood or something like that, right? So the Crip kid and this kid is jumping him. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Why would you ever team up with this dude to jump somebody? Even I don't care who the fuck it was, but this dude, they're jumping him, hitting him with soaps and socks, bro. So I ran in the middle of it and I said, nah, hell no. I said, you definitely ain't jumping this motherfucker, bro, right? Jared stepped up real quick, got in the kid's face, and the Crip kid's face. He didn't even go for the other one. He went right for the Crip kid's, got right up in his face and started piecing him up, dude. They were fighting, bro. And Jared was piecing him up, bro. Laid him down on the floor. Kid got up off him. Boom, started laying him out again. There was this short black kid. I forget his name, dude. He was standing next to me, but he started getting close to it, like he was gonna get involved in something. And I'm like, yo, what's up, bro? You want to get in this or something, bro? Nothing to do with you. Like, it really wasn't anything to do with him. It wasn't his boys. These kids are lames, like scumbags, bro. Like, fucking dude, fuck that shit, bro. Like, you ain't getting involved in that shit, bro. That kid's a white kid, bro. He's getting a one-on-one right now. You know what I mean? And then the Skinner's over here, bro. Now there's this kid, Chris. He comes running down the stairs. He runs over to the thing, runs to the fray, gets up in the Skinner's face, and he's like, what's up, bro? You want a problem with my boy? And I'm looking, and now I got this other kid in my ear telling me, yo, Maddie, don't do it, bro. Don't do it. Because he sees me inching forward. Because I'm like, dude, I didn't want to, get involved in this situation. Like, these kids are all like, good, get them out of my hair. Like, I don't even want to be down here with that kid anyways. Like, He's gonna get lugged out of here. Fucking peace. Couldn't be happier, dude. But I'm not gonna let him get a win either, dude. Fuck that, right? So him and Chris start fighting, and I'm like, bro, if he goes to the ground, I'm running over and I'm gonna get in this shit. Dude, kid slipped on something, bro. Went to one knee, so I ran over, dude, and I swing, dude, and whatever he slipped in, that Skinner slipped in too, and he went down on one knee. So when I swung, it was like the last second when he seen me coming, he like moved fast and slipped and went down on one knee. I missed him. The only punch I ever missed in my life, and I couldn't outdo that. It was I was gonna level him, take his head off, like I was clearing him out, and he fucking dude, he moved, bro. I couldn't believe it. I was so mad. So when I recovered and I ran back over to him, him and Chris were still fighting. They got up against the water bubbler, and I just teed him up against the fucking wall. Boom, 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 boom. I started hitting him, but the fight was getting close. Now, when I'm starting hitting this kid, I don't even know what's going on yet. Over in the background, now this other kid jumped in the fight and started jumping Jared, and I didn't even know about that, dude, right? So another kid jumped in for him. And now I'm like, there's a whole big brawl going on there. It's 4-on-3. It's a 7-man fight. And they come in spraying gas. Me, the kid Chris, and this kid are up here beating this one up. And then you got 4 of these dudes, or 3 dudes now. 2 dudes jumping Jared. But little did I know, my boy was just getting up out of bed, dude. So my boy, salute to Rob Silva, bro. This dude, he's a king, right? He's a king, but he's from my area though. And this dude, he's a mulatto kid. He has nothing to do. He didn't have to ride for me, but because he was my friend, as soon as he seen the cops come in spraying, he ran over, dude, jumped out of bed, ran out his door, ran right through everything, and ran through the cops like Superman punched the kid, the Skinner, right in the head. And they bundled his ass, took him up. But we all ended up getting lugged for this big fucking crazy brawl in the Riri block. I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, this is crazy, right? But yep, after that, sure enough, they kicked me out of down there. They didn't want me down there anymore. And it's funny because I think I'm the only person that actually got kicked out for that. But anyways, right? So this is where I end up going up to N2 and I'm bidding with my twin brother. Me and my twin brother are together. Now, this is the first time I'm ever gonna really talk about this. I've never got into this story before. It's kind of cool to be able to do that. I've been talking to my brother a little bit more lately. He had just gotten out. He's trying to get on his feet and get this prison shit behind him. So talking about it's kind of hard for him, as it is for me still to this day. Like even when I'm telling these stories, it's hard for me because shit is still. Anyways, I get moved to N2. They got me and my brother with co-defendants. So we get up there. They won't put us in the cell together, but they finally moved us in the block together, which I was very grateful for because I didn't know if they would fucking do, right? Like me and him argue like a motherfucker all the time. And it sucked because it kind of put a wedge between us, which ended up resulting in, a split where he got down with some dudes that I did not fuck with. And I mean, I'm sure if you watch my channel, you already know about this situation. So I'm up there with Ryan. We're chilling. Now, this is where I actually get a little bit more access to it. I start seeing who's really fucking with it like that, who's doing shit, like which race is really fucking with it harder. And what I notice is that at this point, only the white dudes had it. Only the white dudes did it. I didn't see anybody else fucking with it at this point. Like nobody really did it like that. I think there might have been some dudes downstairs on N1 that my boy was fucking with that did it and that he dealt with. But as far as I could see up here, man, I didn't see anybody, bro. I only knew a couple of dudes that did it. It wasn't like big like that yet. If you wanted to buy, you could get like 10 stamps for $50 or 10 stamps for $60 or something like that. And that's what I was doing. I would buy 10 stamps for $60. My boy Georgie was over there. Now, Georgie was a big K2 head, bro. Now, when this shit first started coming around, and I didn't tell this part of the story because I wasn't with him when it happened, but he had an episode and he ended up coming out in the tier, smashing his TV and doing some crazy shit, I guess. And yeah, but he's a good dude, bro. I was over there with him, but he would end up smoking. Bro, I was coming out to the shower one morning, bro. He calls me over to the door and he's like, yo, Maddie, come in. And I'm like, what's up? And he's like, yeah, what we're doing. He puts it in the pipe and hands it to me. And I'd smoked it out of the pipe, but I had never smoked a big hit like this. So I'm smoking it, and I don't know what he put in there. I didn't know he put 2 stamps in there. So I'm smoking it, big stamps, bro, right? I walked out his door. I walked right back to my cell. I closed the door, and I was in my sink saying, sorry, Jesus, for like an hour because the shit had my heart going so fast, right? Like my heart would beat so fast that I didn't know that your heart could actually beat that fast. There was no time in between beats. It was just, it was like a fucking drum, dude. Like, and I'm like, damn, bro, I'm gonna die. I'm looking at my chest while it's going like this.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down, bro. Put it down, bro.
And I'm seeing it jump, and I'm like, I can see my heart in my neck, and I'm like, I'm in my fucking mirror, and I'm like, looking at myself like, wow, I'm an ugly bastard, bro. This is terrible. This shit takes you outside yourself immediately into a different planet, like a different universe, bro. Right? So anyways, dude, I get into this smoking shit, bro. Like I'd only smoke it very rarely because it was that strong, dude. Like every time I did, it was like, why did I do this, bro? Why did I do this? I'm getting the K2. Nothing really serious starts happening. I get sent over there with my brother. Ryan's over there bidding. As soon as I get over there, he's got a little quarter of Suboxone ready for me. And the dude with the deuce downstairs, bro, right? My boy Jerry was downstairs. This, like I said before, this is the only guy that's got K2 in the whole camp. Like, this dude is the one guy with it at this point. And there's, or like one or two guys, like, and the one dude that's doing it for everybody, Luigi, he's about to get murdered. Like, we don't even know this is going to happen yet. So things are going to need to change. But for the time being, we're buying the K2 for $10 a stamp or $5 a stamp. That's really what I was getting it for, is $5 a stamp. So I get 10 stamps for $50 and sometimes like deals and shit. But they were actually the size of a postage stamp. And you could really break that down into like 8 pieces and get fucking wrecked, right? So this shit was actually worth buying, like if you wanted to take a break from Suboxone or opiates or whatever. But it wasn't a big thing at the time. One day, there's a situation on the block, right? It's involving the Fall River guys. So there's a dude named Chris. He does the tattoos. Matter of fact, he did some of the tattoos on me. But this dude, so anyways, right? He's a beast at tattooing. He's tattooed a lot of people and shit. But he's a junkie, bro. He's got a serious drug habit. But he usually pays his bills. But anyways, he ends up renting out his TV to a Spanish dude. They ran that block. They were the dominant gang up there by far. There was like 30 of these dudes up there. But they ran the block really shitty. And they had some really shitty dudes in their crew, bro, right? The kid Chris is getting lugged now. He got caught tucking a bottle of urine up his butt during a urine, right? And they literally caught him taking a shampoo bottle out of his ass. And we would all fuck with him like, yo, you put a VO5 bottle in your ass to take a piss? Like this dude, but it was really one of those little bottles and shit, but it's just the way they wrote the ticket, a shampoo bottle. It was fucking hilarious, bro, right? This dude he's getting lugged now. And this kid, he had already got paid for, to rent Chris's TV. So that's how we did it up there. Sometimes you could give a person a book of stamps for a day or a book of stamps for a week, depending on who you're dealing with. But Chris had rented his TV out for a week and he had got paid a book of stamps for it. So when he's getting lugged, he goes and he buys a book of stamps off of somebody. One of his homeboys might have gave it to him to get his TV back, you know what I mean? To pay that bill so that he can have his TV when he gets lugged and not owe anything, you know what I mean? Gives the book back. The kid's giving him shit about giving the TV back. The kid said, what do you want me to do, bro? He's like, I'm getting lugged, you know what I mean? Like, and that's true. It's a certified fact. Like, the kid's not a moron for that, bro. Like, the kid's getting lugged, bro. Do the right thing, give him his TV. So he gives him the TV, but Chris gets lugged. We all go to chow, right? We're at dinner time. When we come back from dinner, the TV's missing. Chris's cellmate, he was a white dude from Springfield, was in that cell. So I go in there and I tell him, I say, yo, where's this kid's TV? And because I was paying attention because all the commotion that happened earlier about the kid giving him a headache about giving the TV back. Our cells are pretty close, so I was just looking out. And I walked by the cell, and when I went to chow, the TV was right near the door. When I come back, the TV's gone. So I asked his cellmate, what happened to Chris's TV? And he goes, oh, I don't know. When I came back from chow, it was gone. So I'm like, oh, okay. So you weren't in here, and it was just gone when you came back. And he said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. So this is going to be a problem then, right? We're going to need to get to the bottom of this situation. And so I told him straight up, I said, I hope you weren't in the cell when this kid came over here and took that TV. And he was like, I swear to God, my word, bro, I wasn't in the cell. And so he was like, I walk away. I end up going over to these dudes, the Spanish dudes, and I talked to him. I said, yo, bro, you got this kid's TV? He said, yeah, bro, yeah. He's like, I rented it from him. I paid him a book of stamps. I said, bro, he gave you that book back, and I watched him give you that book back. That's self-thieving, bro. You can't do that. He's going to need that TV back, like now, right now. And the kids, he started getting like, oh, bro, but I rented it from him. I gave him that book. It's not your TV. Why are you concerned? And they were closing doors for chow. So I said, yo, we'll finish the conversation when they open doors for rec or whatever, right? And I go back to my cell. They open that side first. As soon as that side comes out, one of the Fall River dudes comes over to me and asks me for a knife. I was like, all right. I give him the banger and I was like, is this for the TV thing? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, say no more, bro. I give him a banger. So the kid goes over there and he ends up figuring it out, bro. Gets the TV, gives the TV, sends it with the kid's property when he gets lugged and shit. But this is the type of nonsense that goes on in blocks where the dominant gang doesn't control their people and doesn't control their politics. Some shit like this happens. So now that I find out that kid ratted on his cellmate, he said his cellmate was in that cell when he came and took that TV. So that makes it so it's not really completely self-thieving. It's kind of like a Debo move, like he's Deboing him for his Celly's TV, but it's still self-thieving because his Celly's not there. His Celly was in L1, a disciplinary block when this happened. So it's still not Debo and shit, bro. They just got their shit fucked up, bro, right? They don't do time right. These dudes are straight up idiots, bro, right? So, and I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying that there was certain crews of them that didn't politic right, for sure. 100% fact. And I'll get to some more of that in a second, bro, right? But this dude, I find out he was in there. So I get together, I grab my twin brother and a couple of my friends that I was bidding with, this kid Mikey and Jacob, a couple of dudes, bro. And I'm like, yo, this dude was in his cell. He let them self-thieve. And if we don't control the politics, bro, shit gets really out of hand. They'll start strong-arming white guys, victimizing white guys. So this is the type of shit that you just need to do in order to hold it down for the white dudes, because if not, it's just going to get out of hand, right? As soon as this happened, I tell dudes like, yo, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to take his TV. I'm going to take all his shit, but if he wants to fight me for it, he can keep it. This is what I'm going to do. So you guys can stay over here. Just watch the door. I was in cell 18 all the way at the end, so the camera didn't see in that cell. I go down to that kid's cell. I tell that kid, yo, let me talk to you real quick. And he walked down to my cell, and I said, this is the deal. Now I got my boys at the door and shit, so he's not going to run anywhere. And he's backed into where the corner of like where the toilet is, and I'm facing him. And I'm like, yo, bro, listen, this is the deal. I'm going to go down to your cell. I'm going to take your TV. I'm going to take all your shit. You can fight me right now and keep everything. Even if you lose, you will still keep your shit. But if you do not fight me, I'm going to take your shit. And he looked at me. He clenched his fist like he was going to swing at me. So I hooked off and knocked him out. Bro falls over the toilet like this. My brother jumped on him. Boom, 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 boom. Starts, teeing off on him. I'm like, oh, hold up. I grabbed the kid. I stand him back up. I smacked him, woke him, shook him, woke him up a little bit. I said, so what's it going to be? You going to fight me for your shit? And he was like, oh, man, no. Right. So my brother pushed him to the back of the cell. Kid cracks his fucking head on the shelf. He's like, sit down. So I go down to his cell. I take everything and I put it in a laundry bag, and I go back to my cell. And I tell him, I said, this is all your stuff, right? I'm going to give you an opportunity to buy it back. Now, I'm not condoning anything like this. I'm not saying that you should do this or that I'm proud of this shit. I'm simply telling you what happened and why me and my brother got separated, and then how the K2 kind of took over for a little while for my bid, bro, right? So the kid's like, yeah, all right, blah, blah, blah. I'll do that. So I tell him $400, you could have all your stuff back. And so when we come out for rec, we go down to the phones, we get on the phones, and we're talking. He's calling his father, like his father didn't pick up almost until the end of rec, right? So by the time he picks up, he tells him there's 5 minutes left. So I'm sitting next to him on the phone, making sure he doesn't say nothing stupid, and the Ips come down and check shit out, right? So I'm looking at him, and he's like, yo, Dad, I'm going to need $400. I'm kind of in trouble. I'm like, fuck up, you know what I mean? But yeah, long story short, bro, he tries to get this money, and they're closing the doors. So he says, I'll call you when we come out tonight, and hangs up the phone. And we go in for chow, but there's, he doesn't say anything too specific. So it's not like, it's nothing bad. Like you can't tell what he was talking about, whatever, right? So I go back to my cell, and we're coming out for chow, right? So when we come out for chow, I walk by, and he's in all his grays, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, yo, bro, where do you think you're going? He's got a black eye and shit. I'm like, nah, you ain't going to chow. I went to my cell. I grabbed him a soup. I gave him a soup, and I'm like, here, you can eat that. We go to chow. Everybody goes to chow. Bro, when we're in chow, we're sitting down there at the tables. Next thing you know, they start closing the chow hall doors. And I'm like, the fuck's going on? Right? So I knew what was going on, but I just didn't want to believe it yet, right? Next thing you know, you got like 10 different Ips walking by with this kid in the middle of them, bringing them right into the Ips office. And that was that, right? I'm like, oh shit, here it goes, bro, right? So as soon as they opened the doors back up again, I told my boys at my table, it was Jacob, my brother, and one other person. I said, yo, I'm gonna head back right now real quick so I can tuck some shit and get ready for the hole. I pack up all my shit at Chow. I jet back to the block. And my brother was right after me, dude. We get back to the block, and me and my boy Mikey were cellies. And so we are cellies, and he's doing a life bid and shit. I had to bail him out a couple times for big bill debts, bro. Like the kid was so bad with the drugs. I didn't even realize it yet because he looked so put together. He carried himself well. And I was just, it didn't dawn on me like this kid is very bad with the drugs, doesn't give a fuck either, dude. Like I'm in my cell. I go to my cell. I'm tucking my shit. I got some Suboxones. I'm tucking my Suboxones and getting ready for the box. I put some coffee in my mattress, did all that good stuff so I could go to the hole prepared. And boom, next, sure enough, as soon as everybody's back from chow, they keep the doors locked and they come and they grab me and my brother and they bring us to the box. They give us extortion tickets. By the way, this is the same extortion ticket that I end up having Aaron Hernandez sign in orientation when I get out of the box for this ticket, right? So I'm in the hole. They give me this ticket. It's an extortion ticket. Dude said that when we went to chow, he was kicking the door, screaming, the twins are going to kill me. The twins are going to kill me. They got knives. And then that's what really notified him of the situation, and that's what ended up getting him lugged. When we get to the hole, they give me my ticket, and it's a knife ticket. And I'm like, yo, I don't have a knife. I didn't even have one in my cell that they found. I mean, regardless, I had them. I had knives. No shit. Everybody's got them, right? But they didn't find it in my cell. They didn't find it on my person, nor my brother's cell, nor my brother's person. Now, my brother was the master blade maker, bro. This kid could cut a banger off in less than a night. And I'm talking about a banger, like a big one. Like he could take chunks of steel off in one night. And it all started up in N2 when we were together this time, bro. Because I'm going to tell you, bro, what happened, right? We get found guilty of a knife ticket alone. Like that's what they charged us for. They found us guilty for a knife ticket. They gave us 10 days or 15 days in the box. They moved me back down to N2. Same thing. They moved me back down to N2, but they moved Ryan. They split me and Ryan up and they put him in P2, which is the next block over. And this was like the beginning, I feel like, where it allowed him to lose the guidance that I was providing for him. And it caused a huge split between me and my brother during our bid, right? That was just the beginning of it. Like just us being separated, those dudes getting in his ear and causing friction between us and shit. Like I end up, this is the time, right? And I'm going to put the link right above. I go back to N2. I end up sending over some Suboxone to one of my boys who just got out of the hole. I sent it over to Ryan all the time. Nothing ever happened. But now my boy Ronnie gets out of the hole. He goes over there and I'm sending him a bag of coffee and some Suboxone, and boom, one of the kings steal it. So this kid Bongo, he's this king. That's his nickname, bro. He steals the shit. Kid's an epic, notorious thief. He's got terminated from the Kings by now, and thank God, like the kid was really just a thief. He had balls though. But anyways, I get lugged for that, and because he's in a gang and I crushed him, they put me down on Michael 1 after I got out of the hole. And when I got out of the hole, that's when I was down there with AA. That's when I met Aaron Hernandez, and that's when he signed my ticket. When I'm over in P1, that's when, dude, this is when my K2 journey actually really begins and picks up, because I wasn't just using it recreationally sometimes and getting that crazy feeling. I was selling it, using it, all in with it. It's the biggest hustle in the max, and the things started blowing up after Luigi died and people started figuring out their own shit. So when I was in N2, I skipped over a little part, and I'm going to get back to it right now before I even go any further at all, right? So 2 things. My brother, how we turned him into a vicious knife cutting animal. He was supposed to cut a banger one time, him and Garrett. They were up there. Garrett, this is how I met Garrett too. Garrett, I'm going to do a video about Garrett, the warlord, bro. He's got warlord on his stomach, bro. This kid is a savage, bro, loves to stab people, but he was literally a brother to me. He was my best friend in the max. But this kid, that was one of the only people I chill with, was me, Garrett, and Ryan. So we was up there chilling, and Garrett had him cutting a knife before I even got there. So when I get there and I'm looking at the groove and shit, it's taking him forever, and we were on his back. So they moved him out of that cell once they actually found the groove but thought it was old, and moved him into another cell. The same night The next day he comes out with a banger like, see, I told you. And I was like, what the fuck? This kid. And after that, it was like a mission. This kid would not stop. He would arm up all the white dudes. Everywhere he went, he would put weapons in your hand, bro. Like, this kid was a savage with cutting knives, bro. And they were good ones, too. Like, as a matter of fact, we were up there and we had got lugged a couple times before I even reached that extortion ticket. And one of these times, me and Garrett were cellies. And Ryan was 2 cells away from us. And he had just cut like 2 nasty ass pieces. And the night before, we had friction with one of the kings over a bill. Ryan told one of them, like, yeah, I'll pay you when I pay you. If you don't like it, do something about it. He told the kid G that. And matter of fact, God bless G's soul. But yeah, he was talking to G and he told G, like, straight up, bro, like, that's what it is, bro. And if you got an issue with it, we can fight about it or not. My brother was a pro fighter, but thing, like, he would always pay his bills. Like, he paid his bills, but like, it would take him a little bit because he was addicted to the shit. So he would keep on getting shit, and he would pay his bills down the line, like as he owed and who he respected more. And some people, like, if he didn't respect you, he would always tell you straight up, like, yeah, bro, it's gonna be a little bit. If you want to make money, you can't be doing that shit, bro. Like, you gotta really keep it level. You got to keep it 100. Like, you can't be running around getting high like that. I didn't want him using drugs at all, but apparently, that's what he did. He would get high, cut knives, and and he would worked out so hard, bro. Like, me and Ryan used to work out together, and I've never been in shape like I did. But Ryan was a pro fighter, so he would do trisets of everything. He trained like he was training for a fight in fighting camp all the time, nonstop. He would work out at 5 a.m. for hours, bro. Like, I'm talking about, Ryan had a different type of mechanism in his brain when it came to working out. He was like addicted to that too. You know what I mean? Super addicted personality, bro. So always shredded, always in good shape. So me and Garrett were cellies, and he's getting moved to Old Colony Correctional Center that morning. They tell him, pack it up, you're leaving, you're going to a medium. So we're like, oh, cool, this is cool. I'm helping him pack his stuff and shit, and we're sitting in the cell chilling. And next thing you know, they're like, chow. We go to chow. We're walking back from chow. And on our way back from chow, they're diverting everybody down to the gym. And I'm like, oh, shit. That night before we had friction with the Kings, I grabbed the banger and I was holding on to the banger. And I had put it in my mattress that morning thinking, there's, that's safe there for now because they're moving my celly to a medium. I didn't think they were going to do a shakedown. I just didn't see it coming, and bang, they hit us. I'm down in the gym, and they're telling Garrett, pack it up, you're going down. I'm like, yo, when you get back to the cell, bro, please grab my mattress and take the knife out of it and flush it. He's like, yeah, I got you. But what they did was they took all of his stuff, moved it out of the cell, and put it in booking, so he didn't even go back to the cell to pack his shit up before he left. So I ended up getting lugged for that knife, too. And I had, like, several knife tickets coming out of N2. I got 3 of them, matter of fact. I go down to P1 now. I told you, this is where my story really picks up with the K2. So I'm down in P1, and Billy's down there. Kevin Plitt's down there. Ronnie Camber's down there. My boy Sweeney's down there. Salute to Sweeney, another K, bro. Man, good dude, bro. And, Dave Weichel's down there. There's so many dudes down there, all white dudes, bro. Like, good white dudes, good Spanish dudes, good black dudes. Like, we had a bunch of dudes. KB was down there doing his thing, bro. I was buying 5 packs of strips for I think it was 50 books. I took 50 books of stamps, and I would bring 50 books of stamps and buy a whole 5-pack of strips, bro. I had manila envelopes filled with books of stamps, bro. I had my whole locker under my bed, behind my bed. I had my cell stacked with food for the most part, bro. Like, the whole time I was down there. So this is what happened. This is how I did that. So we're down there. We were chilling for a little while. And as a matter of fact, when I first got down there that time, Boo Boo was my celly. That's when Double A was down there. Me and Aaron Hernandez, Boo Boo, we were all down there together. And when I first got down there, Bobby, the kid that I was strong arming that ended up coming over to the block, was in L1. He was a runner over in L1. And I remember when he first started getting the K2, me and him we were cellies in the hole. He started figuring it out when we started talking about it, because I told him what I knew about it, and he told me what he knew, and we put 2 and 2 together, and bang, that shit literally triggered the thing. Whatever we talked about that day, he started getting it. And because whatever I told him, I don't know if it was the gun that I was telling him to use, or the chemical I was telling him to use, or however, whatever the shit that I was telling him to break it down in the gun so it could be sprayed, whatever. I don't even know what exactly it was that finished it for him or set it in, like, didn't finish the recipe for him, but it finished the recipe for him, and boom, we start getting it. The first shit's like maple syrup. It'll put you to sleep. And that was when we were up in N2, and like I was just buying stamps to use for recreational purposes and shit, right? And Luigi had just become the second person to do it because now Bobby was able to figure this out and get it done, right? And it was good. We were getting fucked up, but it was putting me to sleep for like 8 hours. It was like, you smoke that and you know your whole day is ruined. So it wasn't the same shit. So he was trying to fuck with it and mess with it and change it. And like when it was first coming through, we were getting it on all kinds of crazy pictures and, you know, cardboard paper. They weren't photocopying mail and they had no idea about this shit. So we were just throwing it on all kinds of shit, bro. You could see stains in the paper. Like half of it would be wet. Like this shit was just ludicrous looking, bro. I don't know how they didn't figure that out at that time, but yeah, man, we was getting it through like that. When I get down to P1, Bobby's over there. He figures out the best recipe, and we called it red dot or red line. And he would take a red pen and put it through or put a red dot on every single stamp, right? And this is the stuff that Aaron Hernandez was buying whole entire pages stamped out. So like he didn't buy the page as a page. He bought it wholesale, individually stamped, per stamp, bang, each one paid in full. He had money to spend like that, and he was buying this shit was good, and he would smoke it, bro. I could hardly smoke this shit. One morning, me and Boo Boo were at Selly's, right? And Boo Boo gets some shit from Bobby. Bobby was sending us over 20 stamps, 40 stamps, 60 stamps. It wasn't whole pages or quarter pages at that time, but these were stamps, big stamps. That 60 stamps at that time was a half a page. There was only 120 stamps in a whole page. So 60 stamps was a half a page. We were getting a lot. And so what we were doing is Boo Boo would cut it in these little tiny slivers, right? And make sticks out of it and sell these sticks with 3 tiny little eyelashes in it for $10 a stick, and people were just buying the shit up, bro. And I'm starting to see the real hustle in this. It's not just a thing to smoke and pass time and make a couple extra bucks in canteen. It's something that you could really bank on, right? And so I'm seeing it shit, bro, and I'm like, damn, it's pretty good. And we're sitting over there. We smoked all day. We lived in cell 2, right? Mind you, we had Suka, the biggest CO. He was kind of a dickhead, but he was very young. He was only 22, full grown, bald, straight roided out, big ass dude. But we had the cops that were over there were kind of chill, but they did not like to smoke. And Boo Boo didn't give a fuck. Me and him would sit in the cell on our bed, laying on our back, blowing tea sticks into the air, not into the vent, not hiding, nothing, bro. We were right up at the desk, and Boo Boo was such a dog. They did not fuck with us. They didn't say nothing to us. And then one morning, they moved me up to the top tier in a single cell for, seniority, whatever. And they kept Boo Boo down in the double cells until another single opened. One morning, they come through with a booze cruise. He was right up against the desk, so he was the second cell in. Dave Clark was the only person in front of him. Now, Dave Clark's a solid dude from the Cape. He was a hitman for different mob sets, including the White Winter Hill Gang and shit. But he was my homeboy. He was a good dude, bro. I used to drink with him pretty much all the time. Me and him sit in the cell drinking. He would tell me these crazy stories about murders and shit, bro, right? I'll make a video about that at some point. But anyways, they come through for the booze cruise. Bobby had just sent over a big pack. Boo had some Suboxones and so much deuce that he couldn't even swallow it or anything, right? So when they ran through for the booze cruise, people didn't even get to yell it yet. He was probably still sleeping, which is what he told me. He was just rolling out of bed, and so he grabs the package and throws it in his mouth, but they were already coming through the door. So they were like, yo, what's in your mouth? He couldn't even swallow it. He had no choice. He had to spit it out. And so he gets caught with that package, bro, right? And gets lugged. So when he gets lugged, Billy, a couple other dudes come over, bro. Bobby Phelps is now coming over. Now, God rest his soul. I'm saying his name because he's passed away and shit, but he's a Worcester cat. We hear he's coming over now. This is the dude that I was talking about with the red line, the red dot, whatever. This is the guy that I was Selly's with. We figured it out. He's coming over, and I hear about it. Word is the kid's no good. Like, guys are saying he's no good. He ratted on his co-defendant, all this other shit. But I know it's not true. I've read the paperwork, and it was actually his co-defendant, both of his co-defendants, and one of them that they actually said was Holland kind of, something happened there. But Bobby, I guess, held it solid the whole time, and I was able to prove that, but still didn't change the fact that he was a mark. right? He wasn't with nobody. He was making mad money. He was getting the pages. And right when guys heard he was coming over there, the black dudes got together, Spanish dudes get together, and they start talking about who's going to extort him and shit, right? If anybody's, this is my extortion. Me and him are working together before he even got here. Nobody's touching this dude unless he want a problem with me. Nobody else, bro. Especially not black dudes or Spanish dudes. He's a white dude, and this is our shit, bro. And I was the first person to stick up for him and the first person to get that shit, bro. I was getting 2 pages a week, every single week, like clockwork, bro, right? It's a guaranteed escape, guaranteed money in your pocket, and you can guarantee work your way around like trading shit for stuff you need, other drugs that you want, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, bro, it's a guarantee easy bid for a little while, bro, right? Billy's waiting on a big package, 10 pages. I'm supposed to get 4, he's getting 6. Coming through, he's gonna look out for me on that level. Like, I didn't even know about that pack. He just said, you know, I'm getting this, I'll break you off for 4 pages and shit, bro, right? That package coming through gets busted, but there was way more in there than what the kid said. So I guess dudes got mad. They sent him over what he said he was gonna get, but took everything extra and told him like, yeah, this is ours because you said you was only getting this much, and we found out he was getting this much, and we all kept the rest of it. But those dudes, if they weren't getting extorted by us, who were being friendly, it's called friendly extortion. If we were not friendly extorting him, he would be getting savagely extorted by the blacks, the bloods, the kings, or whoever else, bro. And he didn't want that. That would be a lot worse because if he didn't do what they said, they're going to smack him around without thinking about it. We didn't have to do none of that. We're friendly extorting, so there's no smacking involved. We just go to him and tell him, look it. Now, this is the situation. I'm supposed to get 2 pages. Boom, first time, they don't show up. So I tell him, yo, bro, that shit didn't show up. Now, this would have been the black dude smacking him or the Spanish dude smacking him, whoever else was extorting him. And that's not knocking anything. That's just they're doing what they do. That's like I said, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Bosses live, punks get extorted, bro. It is what it is. Be a boss or be a punk. I mean, you choose. But if you choose to allow yourself to be extorted, then is what it is, man. You know what I mean? If you fight back, most of the times people will not put up with that headache. They don't want to deal with that shit. They'll just let it go. Anyways, so the kid's supposed to be sending me 2 pages to my people, and I'm like, you know, it didn't come. I call my people again. It's not there. So I tell them, I say, yo, look it, I'm going to need those Jordans, or you can meet me in cell 18 and we're going to have to get that because that shit's still not there. And he's like, oh, Maddie, come on, bro. He's like, I sent that shit, blah, blah, blah. He's giving me his word, but it wasn't sent. And so as soon as we had just come off a lockdown too. So as soon as they crack the doors, I tell them, meet me in cell 18. It's gym movement. So I run down the stairs. I'm trying to make it to gym. I run down the stairs. I run over to Bobby. We get in the cell. He comes in second. I'm at the back of the cell. Or actually, sorry, he was in there waiting for me first. So when I came in, I came in, started stepped a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. I lit him up. I fucked him up. And I ended up going to gym before they locked the doors, and I had blood on my jeans, all that shit. So we get to gym. Bobby gets lugged. I don't know if he got lugged on purpose because he did it to himself, but that package gets busted coming through. Like I said, he's over in L1. Now, we sent the whole thing over there, but I think when Boo got it, he said, I'm taking this, I'll pay you for it, but you said you were only going to get this much, and because you got way more than you said, and you were lying about it. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay you for this, but I'm taking this and this. And he took it, right? And then, you know, everybody else got their cuts and shit. You know, everybody's always happy with that. You could end up with 1 page and still be happy. That's a lot. Because you could smoke a tiny little piece like this big. And everything counts with money with that. You could make over 1,000 stamps on a page, so small, grid paper style. And each one of those is $10. So you do the math. I'm down there chilling for a little bit, breading it up, caking it up, bro. I'm getting a ticket for K2 in the mail. I get put on AA in my cell. You know, there'd been other guys on my tier that got this same ticket, but they didn't even get lugged. So I'm thinking maybe they won't lug me. You know what I mean? I'm in my cell. They come, they urined me. I flushed out. I drank mad water, bro. I pissed clean. So they come in, they ended up lugging me like a day later. They come 3 days. I was on AA. They come grab me, bring me out of there. I was in single cell status for the first time ever. And that means I was out of trouble long enough to get up on the top tier in a single cell for the first time. I mean, I made it back there a few times, but that was the first time. At that point, it was nice, bro, right? I loved the single cell. And my boy Sweeney was my neighbor. You know what I mean? We had a good little corner up there. My friend Josh was right there in the corner. Billy was down there, dude. Oh, let me tell you a funny ass story about Billy and that stretch of people up there on the tier with me, bro, right? Before I even go on, because I love this shit. I'm telling these stories about prison, and so I'm telling you in order, and I don't want to miss anything good like this, right? So Billy's the type of dude, he's a boss, bro. Like, he likes to see shit happen. He likes the madness, allegedly. One night, there's this kid, Lumpy. Now, Lumpy's free. Salute to you, Lumpy, if you're watching. Me and Billy got drunk one night. This is two different situations, right, with Lumpy, right? So me and Billy get drunk one night, and we like to fuck with people when we got drunk. So Lumpy is coming down the tier, and he's coming to hang out with us. So I'm like, oh shit. I have Billy hide behind the toilet, and I'm in my cell just sitting on my bed like, yo, what's up, Lumpy? Hey. He walks in the cell. Billy just fucking springs on him, grabs him around his back, puts him in a freaking death grip, right? And I shaved his eyebrows off, bro. I literally shaved his eyebrows off. He had a mole on his forehead, and I shaved his mole off by accident. Bro, that shit was so funny. When we came out in the morning time, I don't even remember if I remember doing it. I come out in the morning time, and he's like, thanks, guys. He's got his hat on. He's got like a Band-Aid over his eyebrow, dude, but he had no eyebrows at all. Like, he went and finished the job because I had missed a couple eyebrows. Like, he's skin tight up there, bro. That shit was funny. But anyways, right? So Lumpy had a smart mouth, though. You know what I mean? Lumpy's very smart mouth, bro, right? So one day we're on the rec deck, me and Billy just chilling, and it was nighttime, and we were just taking some fresh air. It was the middle of the summer, pitch black outside. We're on the rec deck, and we're just looking out in the yard and shit, chilling, talking about shit. And you know, one of those cool nights, bro, where you and your boy just kick it about something, man, and it just goes by easy, bro. And I was sitting on the sit-up machine, and he was standing up, and Lumpy comes out there, and he starts getting crazy. Like, with Billy over, he was supposed to make him a stinger or something like that, because Lumpy did all the electronics and shit. Lumpy's like, I'll make it when I make it, like, blah, blah, blah. Lumpy didn't care. He would fight, and he was an athlete, too. So Lumpy gets wise with him. Billy says, oh, yeah, you want to be tough? He's like, meet me up in Sweeney's cell in 5 minutes. He's like, I'm going to be up there. And so Lumpy's like, oh, all right. Doesn't even hesitate. He's like, all right. And he goes right in, goes right up there, and he goes to Sweeney's cell. So me and Bill looking at Billy like, really, bro, you're going to go fuck this kid up, bro? Like, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, he's got to know not to get crazy with his fucking mouth. He's always getting crazy with his fucking mouth, man. He's like, he's a worker bee. You know what I mean? So we go up there, and Billy goes in there. He's like, what's up? Lumpy's in there. He's getting brolic, bro. Lumpy really did. He got brolic, but Billy hit him 3-piece, bang, 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 just busted his shit. Now there's blood all over Sweeney's cell. Lumpy's all busted up. We're like, shit, you're gonna get caught. There's no fucking way. A day goes by. Lumpy's wearing a hat and like Noxzema all over his face, but it's still looking really bad, and there's no way it's gonna keep on going without getting caught. So we allegedly somebody reached out, gave someone a half a page of K2 and a strip of Suboxone to crash out on Lumpy, right? Bro, Lumpy, dude, this is the funniest fight I've ever seen in my life, bro, right? So we're all up there, and I'm in my cell just watching because it's about to be the end of rec, and this shit's supposed to be going on, and the doors can't close without this happening. Like, it needs to happen before the end of rec. They called 5 minutes. Lumpy's door's closed. So the kid Al that's supposed to be moving on him is walking up the top tier. He walks to Lumpy's cell, but I can see he gets nervous and keeps on walking. Bro, Josh is like, yo, what the fuck you doing? He's like, Lumpy's cell's back there. So he's like, oh, I don't know. He like kind of like panicked and walked back the other way. Bro, as soon as he was about to get to Al's cell, Josh goes, crack 42. And fucking, like, it was the person in 42 asking to get it cracked, and they opened 42. Now Al's standing in front of Lumpy's cell like, oh shit, like his door's open, and he's like, sorry, Lumpy. He's like, but I gotta do this. And you can see him charge into the cell. Bro, they must have been in there doing some funny shit because someone was laughing at him when they walked by. But then they come out onto the tier. And, bro, so Lumpy and Al had each other in a headlock, but the asses were facing both of the opposite directions. Lumpy's pants were pulled down over his ass, so his crack was showing. And fucking Al is trying to swing over his head like this, and they're going around in circles. Neither one of them are hitting each other. They just keep on moving away from each other like this, and around in circles, holding each other like this. And one of their asses is hanging out. Bro, the cop sees them fighting, bro, right? And he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? He's like, hold on. He's like, are you guys fighting? He's like, cut that shit out. He's like, stop that shit. And so he gets up out the desk, walks up halfway up the stairs, and he's looking at them, holding his button, but he's not pressing it because he's like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing? He didn't know if they were horse playing or fighting. Bro, so they stopped doing this weird little thing real quick because I think Al notices, like, this is going to be bad if I don't fucking, like, do something. They might not even call this, right? So he, like, stands up. And then he goes, raw, and he like charges at fucking Lumpy and just starts hitting him again, dude. I was like, yo, this is the fucking most embarrassing fight I ever seen in my life. That was it, man. I end up getting lugged out of there. I go to L1 for that fake K2 ticket. I was gonna end up having this kid moved on. I thought he set me up because remember, I had fought him. And then soon after he gets lugged, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a K2 ticket in the mail. So I'm thinking this dude must have set me up. I sent word over there already and everything, but luckily they had not come out together yet. When I found out, it was just a letter from my brother. That time right there, that's when I end up beating up TJ and getting a DDU sentence. Because I got lugged for a fake K2 ticket, I went to the DSU block. When I'm down in the DSU block, I run into the smoke, smashed him out, which I'll put that link right here too. Then they fucking give me a DDU ticket. So I get a DDU ticket for a ticket I eventually end up beating for K2. I beat that ticket after I had already got my time for the DDU, but I would have never been down there if it wasn't for that. So it's like, that's the difference between court and prison, is that shit type of shit right there. But anyways, Boo Boo's down there with me and shit, and we're all chilling. He's got the wee little connect, bro. You know, this kid PD's over there lugging brick-sized packages of Suboxone. We got EK doing the same shit, bro. The place is bumping. I end up going to STP. I go up to STP, and when I'm up there, my boy Garvey is down. He gets moved down to N1 after I get lugged, right? He gets moved down to N1, and he had got 8 years. He was up there for pharmacies because all the Charlestown dudes were robbing pharmacies, climbing through the ceilings, and just doing crazy shit, bro. And he had got caught on the corner in Charlestown with hundreds of the pills, but they couldn't catch him for the pharmacy, so they hit him with like some type of link to that pharmacy and gave him 7 years. But he had already done 4 years on trial and was wrapping up in 3 more years. So when he was gonna wrap up, he was leaving me the K2 business and shit. Like, he did me so solid, man. Garvey, God rest his soul, was one of the best people, most gentleman-like individuals that I've ever met in my life. We called him the gentleman, actually. Garvey the gentleman, or the governor, or the silver fox. Like, he had the gray hair, but like, he was a straight up G, straight up gentleman. And like, he was humble to a point where you could think maybe he's not built like that, but he is as solid as they come. He could fight his ass off. He did fight his ass off. Like, yeah, bro. So anyways, I go up to STP. When I'm up there, you know, my boy Nick's downstairs. My people are downstairs. I'm sending down little packs of Wellbutrin and shit like that, but I'm not plugged in completely with the deuce yet. I had actually skipped a little piece about how I became a boyo, and that was when I was down there in P1. During that time, I was just talking about Billy, Kevin, Ronnie, and me. We all sat down and they were like, you know what, if this is made for anybody, it's made for you, bro. We'd be honored to have you, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I ended up getting brought over to that. I was already friends with them for a long time. Because like, we're all friends. You're a boyo before you're ever a boyo, if you ever do become a boyo. Because we're all close friends. This is not a gang. We have all of us down there. And actually, Jerry was still over there, ostracized at the time. He had still not come back. He had still not made his comeback yet. He had still been ostracized. And there was a new crew of boyos down there in N1 that were kind of feeding off of there was 2 other dudes. So Boo Boo and Billy were still down there, but after Jerry left, it was kind of new leadership type of thing. Like, and because of that, it was like people were, you know, filling in the space to try to take that spot. You know what I mean? Who would be the voice of us? You know what I mean? But we don't have a leader. And that's something that we kind of didn't instill in the newer guys, is that, you know, we don't take in new guys like that, like I said. But there was some guys that were brought in more recently than others that had been around for a while still, but just didn't realize that we're not trying to change the way we are. We're not trying to make a shot caller position. We're not trying to make it into an organized gang structure, something like that. But they kind of had visions for it, man. And you know, people always have visions of power when it comes to that shit, gang shit in the max, right? So he saw himself being something like that. And he had not been down for any amount of time that he could even step close to judging someone like Ronnie Camber, who spent more than 12 years in DDU for, actual murders that he had put in work for guys, like out of loyalty and love, and had proven his worth in many situations, bro. Like, he is a loyal cat, and for someone to treat him disrespectfully because he wants to get high but doesn't have money, so you put yourself in a position where he needs you, and then treat him derogatively because he does need you, right? Everybody's getting high. That's your brother. You break him off. I don't give a fuck. You don't disrespect your own people because they want to get high. That's some C-dub shit. I hear about all this shit, dude. I'm not liking it at all. But my man Kevin's down there, Kevin P, and he's trying to tell me, like, he's trying to hold it together because, like, we still are family. You know what I mean? And so we're not trying to let infighting take over and ruin something that's still very good. Like, we're just now having problems. Like, and this is the first time this ever happened to us. And so when I'm up there, I'm training for war, because not only are we starting to have problems over the way he's treating the people down there, but now my brother, he was trying to become a boyo, and I was bringing him with me over to it. I needed votes and I needed everybody to agree. So I'm telling dudes, like, this is my brother. He's solid as they come. He had just come up. My brother was as solid, if not more solid, than anybody I know, bro, right? And he's a fucking warrior, bro, right? Me and him, whenever I go to the gym from the STP, you can see the yard from the rec deck. And that's the yard right behind me. It's a window just like that. And that's the gym window. Matter of fact, this window right behind me is the actual weight room window. And this is what it looks out to, is the yard. And I would go to this window, stand in this window, and talk to guys in the yard with sign language. And then when they moved me over to the main gym, I would go into the main gym and I would talk through the door with actual voice, because they could hear you, right? So they would come over to the gym door, the back door, and they would stand there underneath the canopy and talk to you, bro, right? And I'm sitting there politicking with my people, and they're telling me, nah, man, we're gonna want you. This is GS. He said, I'm gonna want to see your brother doing good. Like, I want to see him over with us before I let it, give him my vote, and blah 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 blah. And who knows? Maybe I'm gonna have to fuck your brother up, like if he comes over to the block and he doesn't move right or something, and I have to smash him out. Like, I don't want to have to do that. I said, first of all, bro, you ain't smashing shit out, bro, right? Because my brother will piece you the fuck up. Kevin goes, no, Matty, bro. He starts intervening. He knows he sees an argument, but dudes don't want to fight with me, dude. I don't want to fight with them. So he, George kind of backed off a little bit. He's like, I didn't mean it like that, blah, blah, blah. But still, this long story short, you're disrespecting the fuck out of me. You're not, first of all, you take my word for it, bro. I'm telling you, my brother's a straight up warrior, and he's better than, I can tell you he's a good motherfucker, bro, right? So me as your family and your brother, that is your family. That is your brother already, motherfucker. He's mine. So if I am, you are. And if I'm telling you my brother's a good motherfucker, he's a good motherfucker, bro. Like, I'm not going to just say that. If he was like someone else's brother, like TB's or something, like, I'd be like, nah, but it's not the case. So I'm sticking up for my brother, but now I'm pissed. Now I'm fucking pissed. So I get in crazy shape. I'm working out like a savage. I'm coming down prepared for a fucking war because I'm mad, bro. And I know that this is going to blow up in my face because I'm not riding with it. I'm not going with the grain on this one. So dudes aren't going to fuck. Like, I'm going to be going against the grain. So when I go down there, I'm going against everything guys is talking about, the way things are moving. And I know it's going to be a problem, so I'm getting in good shape. Not just that, but Jerry's coming back from being ostracized. And all this is in this video right here with the C-dub shit. So after my little STP bid, I end up down in Michael 1. When I get down to Michael 1, they literally moved on the same day. They moved Paul, Ronnie Camber, and Jerry Sullivan all the same day. Me and those three guys. This was like a straight setup. Now, Jerry was ostracized. So us three, if we were going with the grain, one of us was, and the other one was teetering on the edge. And me, I was all the way with Jerry if that was what it had to be, because I wanted teammates now too, because had to build a team. And I know Jerry's good people. I've been with him forever, dude. And I know Jerry's a solid dude, bro. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So like, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a team of winners, bro. Fuck all these lames that think they know. And they're putting out good dudes because they think they're somehow better. Like this shit was so backwards, it was crazy, bro, right? So I ended up going down there, but what I'm doing with the deuce at this time, this kid Mac was down there, this 3-finger Mac, big black dude, he's jacked up and shit. But me and him were working out. We started working out in the STP together. But when the deuce was coming around at that time, we're smoking it, and the shit was giving me like pre-workout shit. So I would smoke deuce in my cell, go down to the rec deck, and I'd be working out, doing hundreds of burpees with Mac, all high on deuce and shit, right? But when I'm down there in M1 at this time, this is also a time where Jared Remy's down there. You know, the Boston Red Sox announcer's son that got arrested for murdering his wife. This guy's down there. So me and Jared Remy are down there. Jared's kind of getting extorted by dudes and shit. Kicking in big bucks, dude, for the deuce. Like, he had money, so he was buying pages of deuce for exorbitant amounts of money, and he would smoke it all. Like, I'm telling you, one day me, Cullum, and him were in the cell. He packs a hit of deuce in the thing, goes to smoke it, but he's so high, he nods out while he's smoking, drops all his deuce on the ground, wakes up a couple minutes later, hands the pipe back, says thanks, and walks out. I go, what the fuck? This shit was still on the ground. Like, I had to chase him down and be like, yo, here's your stamps back. He's like, oh, okay, thanks, man. He just gave it right back to me. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? That kid was tore up, bro. But that's the shit this deuce was doing. But they moved. So I was in M1 one day, right? And the deuce was coming in crazy. And I was on the flats, in the cell on the flats. And this kid, I seen a commotion up at the desk. He's spinning around in circles and yelling at the cops. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on down here? And he's yelling and screaming and shit, and he starts running down the tier and going in circles and shit and throwing his hands over his head. So I'm like, what the fuck's up with this dude, bro, right? So he comes barreling down the tier and fucking screaming, I'm on fire. He thinks he's on fire, but he stopped like 10 feet away from me, and he did like the little bull thing where he stopped and he like took his foot and scraped it on the ground a couple times, looking straight at me, like right in the eye. I'm like, oh, here we go with this shit, bro, right? So I backed into my cell, and he charged right at me. So I'm thinking, I'll back into my cell. If I end up fighting him, at least it'll be in the cell. I don't want to get lugged for this fucking nonsense, right? But he runs straight past me, runs into the next cell over, starts piecing the dude that was in that cell up. This is a random cell. This wasn't his cell. He doesn't even know whose cell this is. Runs in there, smashes the kid's TV, starts beating him up and shit. I was over there dying laughing, bro. The cops came in there with the stretcher and had to wheel him out of there, dude, to get him out of there. But all right, guys, I apologize. In an effort to make these videos just enough for you guys to actually watch the whole thing and continue to watch, stay tuned for part 2 of this story. I am not lying when I tell you that part 2 is this part that I really want to tell you, and it sucks because I want to keep doing this video and keep it all in one video. This is so fire. If I put it all in one video, it would be 1 million views. My videos are gonna keep getting better, keep getting more exclusive, bro. I appreciate everybody for supporting the channel. If you want to help, this is how you do it. If not, you could put a super chat, whatever, man. Just hitting the like button and sharing my videos to Facebook and Instagram to people who haven't seen my channel yet. That is major. I appreciate everybody for showing up. W number. Ow!
Last week, a search warrant in Durham County hinted at a cross-country scheme between mother and son who investigators say smuggled drugs into federal prisons by soaking paperwork in synthetic marijuana. That's a strategy prison officials around the country have sounded the alarm on, and this synthetic drug can at times be deadly. Welcome to the Daily Download. I'm Travis Fain, and today's deep dive conversation is with Sarah Kruger, who covers Durham and the surrounding area here at WRAL. Sarah, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Travis.
Absolutely. Now, so walk us through this. You're going through paperwork at the Durham County Courthouse. You come across this case. Take it from there.
Yeah, so I like to routinely go into the courthouse and just do a check of search warrants. If I have a few minutes in the day, I will go in there and they are all collected in a basket so I can sort through them. And there are often dozens of them, many, many pages. But this one particular day, I was going through the basket, came across this, and, my antennas immediately went up and I thought, whoa, okay, I need to read this one with some more detail. It definitely stood out as being something that merited more attention.
Yeah, so the woman is in Durham County. Is her son in California in prison? And what was she sending and where and how?
Yeah, so my understanding, so information on this has been a little harder to come by than I would like, because it appears that the Federal Bureau of Prisons is the primary investigating agency on this, and it's an investigator out of California. So I don't, unfortunately, have great sources there, inroads to get more information. But my understanding from reading the warrant, it lays all of this out. So it's a man who is a prisoner in Victorville, California, in a federal penitentiary, and his mother is here in Durham, living in the city of Durham. And basically the way this would work, according to the warrant, is that her son in prison would find fellow inmates who are looking for a way to get drugs in prison, and he would alert his mom, like, hey, I need this, these are your orders, and she would fill the orders by, as you mentioned, dipping papers into synthetic marijuana and then mailing them to prisoners all across the country. The warrant mentioned her sending them to California, to Illinois, to Oklahoma. So what appeared to be a pretty large operation, and certainly one that troubled investigators. One of the things this warrant mentioned is that this prison in California was experiencing an influx of mail and fake legal documents. And that is one of the things about this case. Apparently the mom, she would disguise some of these drugs as being legal mail, like as from attorneys. And there was one attorney in particular in Durham that was even mentioned in the warrant, whose name was falsely used. And that attorney was then contacted by investigators, and he said, whoa, no, I obviously did not send that. So a lot of layers to this case.